I miss my baby girl. I don't want to lose her.
Welcome back to Phil Pulse, your ultimate source for the most shocking untold stories in reality TV. Today we are...
Guys, so I just spoke to Kenny. He said the MRI gave no answers. The next step, I think they said they were going to do an androplasty to see if they get answers like through there. Or most likely
covering a devastating crisis that has completely shattered one of 90 Day Fiancé's most beloved families, Armando Rubio, Kenny Niedermeier, and sweet little Hannah. Hannah, known to millions for her bright smile and cheerful spirit, was suddenly struck by a nightmare medical emergency. A terrifying brain bleed left her with facial paralysis and severe body weakness, forcing an emergency medical transfer from Mexico to Phoenix, Arizona. But just as doctors fought to pinpoint the cause, a severe life-threatening lung infection struck, sending treatment costs skyrocketing out of control. Pushed to the edge, Armando made the painful choice to sell their home to save his daughter's life. This desperate move sparked an explosive conflict between the couple, ultimately culminating in an unexpected and heartbreaking divorce that has stunned fans worldwide. How did a fairy tale romance turn into a battle for survival and a legal split? Stay tuned right here on VivaFlex as we uncover the full timeline of Hannah's medical battle, Armando's ultimate sacrifice, and the sudden end of this iconic marriage. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's dive right into the details. Armando Rubio had lived for his daughter Hannah until the world saw their trip on international television. When Hannah's original mother had died tragically in a car accident, Armando had taken on the role of protector and provider, shielding his little girl with fierce devotion. Armando lived in San Felipe, Mexico, and devoted all his leisure time to making sure that Hannah had a secure, joyful upbringing filled with love, laughter, and security. Armando and Kenneth Niedermeier met online through a support group for single gay dads and had no idea what they were getting into. Kenny, a proud Florida dad of 4 adult children, immediately bonded with Armando's compassionate spirit and strong family values. Kenny's move from America to making a home in Mexico wasn't just about marrying the love of his life. It was about accepting Hannah as his daughter. TV viewers watched Hannah develop from a shy little girl to a vivacious, bilingual teenager with an infectious giggle. Viewers observed Kenny learn Spanish just to help Hannah with her homework, as Armando proudly looked on at the blended family they've worked so hard to create. Their home was a haven of comfort, creativity, and shared dreams of Hannah's bright future. The Neta Rubio family had smashed down cultural barriers, distance, and skepticism to create a true fairy tale for the world to see. Hannah was flourishing in school and had 2 loving fathers and a global network of people who adored her spirit, but life may shatter peace in an instant. It started like any other average bright afternoon at the peaceful family house in Mexico. Hannah was laughing her way through a weekend of studying and housekeeping. Happy, her cheerful voice echoing down the corridor, Armando was in the kitchen making lunch, while Kenny sat nearby talking about the week's preparations. No hint hung in the air of the catastrophic storm that would soon tear their calm sanctuary apart. The lively, bright source in the room was missing. Hannah stumbled forward, moving toward the table. She had lost her footing. Armando came back with a smile, assuming his daughter had only tripped on the area rug. But the room was transfixed in dread as his eyes met hers. Normally vibrant and expressive, Armando's daughter's face suddenly sagged on one side. Her mouth was twisted in an unconscious slope, one side hanging conspicuously. When she spoke, just a muddle, fearful murmur escaped her lips. Hannah's right arm dropped uselessly to her side. She couldn't say standing up. Kenny was up from his chair quickly. For Armando, a father's instincts took over, and they were protective instincts. He dropped everything and seized his daughter before her feet could hit the floor. He clutched her trembling body close, his chest gripped by dread. It was an unfathomable tragedy to see a 12-year-old youngster with the clear neurologic signs of an acute stroke or catastrophic cranial catastrophe. Hannah looked up at Armando with big, fearful eyes of confusion and silent tears, and she couldn't understand why her body had suddenly betrayed her. When Armando and Kenny arrived at the local clinic in Mexico, the emergency room was full of a moment of sheer terror. The attending doctors ran in and took Hannah's vitals, checking for sudden neurological abnormalities. The weird thing was, her blood pressure was normal. The oddest thing for the doctors was this. Acute strokes and significant intraanal occurrences in a healthy young teenager are almost unheard of. The doctors had given Hannah a gloomy prognosis. The local hospitals didn't have the state-of-the-art neurosurgery technology to deal with whatever was going on in her brain. Her condition was fast worsening, and every minute that went increased the likelihood of irreversible neurological damage, or worse, immediate unavoidable decision. Hannah had to be transported out of the country to a specialized pediatric intensive care facility in Phoenix, Arizona. The tiny clinic was soon connected with an emergency air transport service. A medical transfer crew showed up with plenty of heavy equipment and portable monitors. Armando was standing at the gurney, tears on his face clutching Hannah's hand. The thundering sound of arriving helicopter blades resonated over the landing pad. A crushing feeling of fear. Hannah looked up at Armando through frightened, half-closed eyes, her small fingers clutching his as tightly as she could. Armando bent down, kissed her forehead, and whispered urgent promises of love and reassurance that she was strong, that she was going to be totally fine, that he would follow right behind her to hold her hand the second she landed. The chopper took off into the Arizona sky, carried Hannah to life-saving trauma care in Phoenix. As the medical team loaded the stretcher into the craft and secured the cabin doors, Hannah's chopper flew into the Arizona desert. Armando was driving his automobile, burning rubber along the highway toward the northern border. Every fiber in his body was screaming to be with his daughter, and it was worse than death that his tiny baby would wake up in a strange intensive care